Let's be real for a second. We are absolutely swimming in data. It's everywhere, right? Spreadsheets at work, news headlines, our fitness trackers. We're just constantly getting numbers thrown at us. And honestly, it can get a little overwhelming.
Because, raw data, just a table full of numbers, it doesn't really tell you anything on its own. It's just a jumble of facts. It can be super confusing, and it definitely doesn't tell a clear story.
So how do we cut through all that noise to find a clear signal? Well, that's where a field called descriptive statistics comes in. Its whole job is to help us describe and make sense of data. And one of the most powerful tools it gives us is the chart. Think of charts as the visual language that turns confusing numbers into clear, understandable insights.
Okay, let's make this super practical. Take a look at this data from a hospital. It's a simple list of where patient falls happened. Now, looking at this table, can you quickly tell me where most of the falls happen? It's not that obvious, is it? You'd have to sit there and count each one up.
But watch what happens when we turn that exact same data into a bar chart. Boom! Instantly, the story is crystal clear. That longest bar just jumps out at you. You know immediately that the bathroom is the biggest problem area. That right there, that's the power of a good chart. It gives you instant clarity. And this is not a one-off trick, not at all. Look at this. On the left, a table showing education level and salary. Sure, you can scan the numbers, but the bar chart on the right, it makes the trend impossible to miss. In a split second, you see it. As education goes up, so does salary. The chart turns data into actual information you can use.
So let's start with the first and probably the most common tool in our data visualization toolkit, the simple but incredibly powerful bar chart.
A bar chart is your go-to when you're comparing different, separate categories. We're talking about things like car brands, different store locations, types of movies, you name it. Each category gets its own bar, and the length of that bar shows you its value. It makes it so easy to see which category is the biggest, the smallest, or how they all stack up against each other.
All right, here's another quick example. We've got a frequency table of different car brands. You can look at the numbers, and if you read them carefully, you can figure out that VW and Skoda are tied for the top spot.
But the second we flip it into a bar chart, you don't even have to think. Your eyes just instantly go to the two tallest bars and you know the ranking. It's totally effortless. This is exactly why bar charts are the absolute best for comparing these distinct groups.
Okay, so now let's look at a chart that looks a lot like a bar chart, but it actually does a completely different job. This one is called the histogram, and it's all about understanding the shape and the distribution of your data.
So while a bar chart is for separate categories, a histogram is for continuous data. That's things you can measure on a scale, like age, salary, height, or maybe test scores. What it does is it takes that whole range of data, chops it up into equal intervals that we call bins, and then it shows you how many data points fall into each of those little bins. So what's the big difference then? Well, a bar chart compares separate things. A histogram shows you the spread of one continuous thing. The biggest visual clue? The gaps. In a bar chart, the bars have spaces between them to show they're separate. You could even reorder them, and it wouldn't really change the meaning. But in a histogram, the bars touch to show it's a continuous range, and their order is totally fixed.
And this just illustrates the point perfectly. Look at them side by side. The bar chart on the left, you see those clear gaps between the car brands? They're distinct categories. The histogram on the right? No gaps. The bars flow right into each other, representing a continuous range of scores. That tiny visual detail, gaps or no gaps, tells you everything you need to know about the kind of data you're looking at.
All right, let's move on from just describing single things to something even more exciting, using charts to uncover hidden patterns and relationships between two different variables.
First up is the scatter plot. This is your #1 tool for seeing if two measurable things are related to each other. You can kind of think of it like you're plotting dance partners. You take a value from one variable, a value from the other, and you put a single dot on the graph where those two values meet. Here's a classic example. Every single dot on this chart is one person, placed according to their height and their weight. After you plot a bunch of people, a pattern starts to emerge. See how the dots form this kind of upward sloping cloud? That clearly shows a relationship, or what we call a correlation. Generally, as height goes up, weight tends to go up too. Next, we have the super familiar line chart. This chart is the ultimate storyteller when it comes to time. If your data involves days, months, or years, the The line chart is your best friend. By connecting those dots, it shows you the journey of your data, the peaks, the valleys, the trends, which makes it perfect for tracking things like stock prices or temperature changes over a season. And finally, let's look at one of the most information-packed charts out there, the box plot. Now, I know it might look a little weird at first, but it is a fantastically efficient way to see a dataset's entire story in just one glance. It shows you the middle value, how spread out everything is, and it even points out the oddballs, the outliers, all in one tiny, compact graphic. Now, this is where the box plot really shines. With just 4 of these simple boxes, we can instantly compare the age distribution across 4 totally different groups. That line in the middle of each box, that's the median age. The size of the box itself tells you how spread out the ages are for the middle 50% of each group. See how Group B has a wider box than Group C? That tells you right away their ages are more varied. It is an incredibly powerful tool for comparing groups side by side. We've covered a lot of ground, and that brings us to what might be the single most important takeaway of all. Choosing the right chart for the job is absolutely essential if you want to tell an accurate and clear story with your data. So the crucial point really is this. The chart you use depends entirely on the question you're trying to answer and the type of data you have. Are you comparing categories? Go for a bar chart. Want to see the shape of your data? That's a histogram. Investigating a relationship? Scatterplot's your tool. And tracking changes over time? That's the line chart. It's all about matching the right tool to the task at hand.
And at the end of the day, that's what this is all about. A well-chosen chart does way more than just show numbers. It transforms that raw, meaningless data into useful information. And then it helps us turn that information into genuine insight, that aha moment, when you finally understand the story the numbers have been trying to tell you all along.
So now you have the basic vocabulary. You can speak the language of charts. You can look at a confusing table of numbers and know exactly how to make it speak. So the only question left is, the next time you run into a wall of data, what hidden patterns and surprising stories are you going to be the one to uncover?